How many arcs do you think are left in Hunter x Hunter? I mean, it depends. The Dark Continent is definitely going to be a large arc that takes place after the Succession War. The Succession War is, funnily enough, as intricate and as crazy as it is literally just the transitionary phase between the regular world and the Dark Continent. Because after we finish the Succession War, we have everything that has to do with the Dark Continent and whatever the fuck is gonna go on in there. Now, granted, there's a couple different ways that things could go. Obviously, Gon has lost his Nen, and a lot of people think that Gon is done, his story is done. Granted, you could argue his story is done because Gon found his father. What more reason do you have for Gon to be included in the story? But I would argue that that's not true, because you could always say that Gon could get his Nen back. Even his father says that his Nen isn't completely gone for good. It's just that whatever happened significantly took away his Nen, and I'm sure there's other ways that he could get Nen back, or if Gon could find a way to still continually be a hunter and go on hunter-like adventures. Gon is that kind of tenacious. He's like his father Ging. There's no way that he would just let a debilitation like that stop him. You have the theory that Pariston and Gyro are connected in some way, shape, or form. That's how Pariston was able to get a hold of the Chimera ant eggs that he has, or the Chimera ant soldiers. Gyro is currently an anomaly. We know that him and Gon are tied by fate. They almost encountered each other when they were in the city before the Chimera ant palace invasion, because Gyro had separated completely from the Chimera ant queen and the Chimera ant kingdom due to his overwhelming sense of self and hatred for humanity and hatred of all things existence. It wouldn't surprise me if someone like Gyro would be partnering with Marina. How crazy would it be if Marina was the incarnation that this new Gyro took? This want to destroy everything and this Nen ability called Contagion that would spread chaos throughout the world in any way possible. I mean, but yeah, Gyro, Gon, they are fated to meet at one point in time. So it's possible we could get another arc outside of the Dark Continent, but at the same time, there's also a good chance that Togashi is somehow able to merge these arcs. He's able to merge the Dark Continent with Gon's final moment. And I mean, imagine we do have that checkpoint where once we drop the Kaken Empire off on the new continent, which who knows how that is even going to go, considering that I don't think Nasubi and the other Kaken princes will be dumb enough to get tricked into not going on to the real Dark Continent, or maybe they will. Maybe there won't be anyone left from the Kaken Empire after the Succession War, and it's not even something they'll have to worry about. They'll just pick up Morel, Nav, and any other hunters from the checkpoint and move on their way. And perhaps maybe Gon found a way to substitute his Nen or fight some way besides his Nen, or even just unlock his Nen and actually fight with Morel and Nav. That would be really cool and a good way to reintroduce him to the Dark Continent at the perfect time. We still don't even know where Ging and Pariston are, to be completely honest with you, right? We have no idea where Ging and Pariston, whether they're on the ship at like a very double VIP dorm room or something on the Black Whale. Are they taking their own transportation in order to get to the Dark Continent separate from Beyond, or are they part of the group that's going to break Beyond out, and or is Ging, Pariston, one of the people that Beyond wants to meet on the Black Whale? There's a bunch of different ways that the story of Hunter x Hunter can go after the Succession War. Kurapika's story, technically his major arc ends with the death of Saradnik and the retrieval of his final Kurta clan eyes. And with the way that Kurapika is using Emperor time, there's a good chance that after retrieving his Kurta clan eyes, Kurapika is just done. Kurapika is going to croak, his time is going to run out, or it's going to run out just before he gets those Kurta clan eyes, or is able to beat Saradnik in a very tragic end. And maybe that's just me always assigning tragic ends to people. I'm sorry that I do that. I hope Kurapika achieves his goal. That would be amazing. But even Togashi has said that Kurapika's fate is kind of shaky at this very moment. But if the Gate Guardians do tie into the Dark Continent and the Kurta clan, that would be a perfect way to segue Kurapika into the Dark Continent and make him relevant and make his story continue on. Because there is a heavy potential that with, again, like I said, the collection of the last Kurta clan eyes, that's the end of Kurapika's story, just like it was the end of Gon's story with finding and meeting Ging, even if Ging didn't stay for very long. Now, granted, you could argue if there's more information about his clan on the Dark Continent, as well as somehow Pariston is actually allied with someone like Gyro, and that brings Gon somehow by fate either to a way to get his Nen back and onto the Dark Continent with Morel and Nav, or however he gets there. Gon's own grandfather, that's even the reason why Ging is interested in the Dark Continent, right? Don Freecs, the one that wrote the Book of the West and is theorized to be writing the Book of the East, or I might have that backwards or reversed, but you get what I mean when I say that the Freecs family has direct ties to the Dark Continent as well. So if Kurapika is able to bring his family ties back there, it also makes sense why Gon would be able to bring his family ties back there, especially if Togashi is able to introduce Gyro into the whole Pariston deal, which would not only put Pariston at perfect odds with Ging, which we know they've been kind of going back and forth for this entire time, as much as Ging is winning over Pariston's men and winning over Pariston's operation and just full-on usurping all power from him, Pariston is slowly biding his time and is already tried to kill Ging or get an upper hand on Ging once, so it'll be interesting to see how he stretches to become a villain in the future, whether that be, again, working with that Chimera ant, or my crazy headcanon that Marina Prudo is Gyro due to them both wanting nothing more than to destroy everything and just create pure chaos, although I think that would be stretching things a little too much. I'm interested to see what Togashi has in store for us after the Succession War. I couldn't even tell you what is on the Dark Continent and how much content could be there for us to consume. I mean, just the Dark Continent alone could be another Chimera Ant level arc with 100 plus to potentially 200 plus chapters of story, with just the introduction of getting onto the continent, all of the different, just if Succession War is already this complicated, imagine all the different moving pieces of the Dark Continent. You have all the different monsters and all the different curses and different crazy things that can come from the Dark Continent. But what about the different tribes? What if there are people that live there, like the Kurta clan or other things that are heavily invested in? Imagine there's a society that we find of ancient artifacts or ancient peoples that have their own conspiracies. There's so many, and obviously I'm just yapping about nothing, but there's so many different ways that the Dark Continent alone can play, let alone you have great villains like Beyond Netero taking the full frontal role in the Dark Continent, who has basically been playing a back seat this whole entire time. I really do think and wonder what Togashi has in store for us. And even then, whether the Succession War ends in 20 chapters, whether the Succession War ends in 50 chapters, this has been a great ride, and the amount of effort Togashi has put into this makes me think that whatever reason Togashi has to bring characters like Kurapika further into the Dark Continent or Gon, or even bring people like Killua back somehow, he's gonna make it so integral to their stories and a great way to cap off everything that I truly believe the Dark Continent will finalize everything. I really don't see us having such a great and spectacular adventure outside of the bounds of known reality and going into the great unknown for what will probably be hundreds of chapters. And then afterwards, Togashi goes, all right, remember Gon and Gyro? Let's get back into it. Now, granted, did Togashi do that with Breed Island and Chimera Ant and then just go right back to Kurapika? Yes. Do I see him doing that again? Honestly, you know what? He's a little unpredictable, but with the state of how he is, I would imagine it makes more sense to fuse everything together for one big climax on the Dark Continent, which is really what every hunter has been going for, rather than have this crazy great journey on the Dark Continent and then, oh my god, back at home, Gyro took over while we were gone. Even though that is possible, I do think, depending on what Togashi does, he does have 4 different endings planned out for the series, right? So we already got D, which is Gon being alive and trying to raise a granddaughter to be a hunter, even though she doesn't want to. There's 3 more endings that Togashi has that he's striving for. Whether or not that means taking different routes with the story, we won't know until we find out. That's really all I have to say about that in regards to like where the series can go after Hunter x Hunter, honestly.